another episode of the Dr. Kiki Ramsey Show. I'm so excited to be with y'all today because we are going to be getting into it about wellness habits for women with big goals. And I know that so many of y'all out there have some amazing, super humongous goals. And I am so happy for my guest who's going to be joining us today. And I'm going to introduce her right after this. Yinka Ajirotutu, welcome to the show, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. So happy to be here. I think this is my
Ugh,
third time on the show.
I
So
know you are a friend of the Dr. Kiki Ramsey Show and a friend of mine. so, so I'm so excited that you're here again. And this time we're going to still be talking about health and wellness, but I'm so excited to introduce you as one of my illustrious speakers at the Thrive 25 Women's Conference. Yay! So welcome. Um, so you're going to be speaking all about health and wellness at the Thrive 25 Women's Conference. And I wanted to give everyone a preview. If they've never heard you before, if they've never met you before, I wanted to kind of give them a preview of some of the things that they may hear on the show, not on the show, but here at the conference on today's show. So welcome. We are excited that you're here.
thank you.
All right. So before we jump in, I would love for you to share a little bit about yourself with everybody.
Absolutely. Well, I am a businesswoman. I am an entrepreneur. I am a sister and a daughter. And like many of you, feel the pressure that can come from playing so many different roles. And so I am really passionate about sharing with women how to balance it all while they also take care of themselves. I
Mm.
know how to do this because I've done it very wrong before. So, in 2018, I was diagnosed with a chronic disease called hyperthyroidism. I was stressed. I was not eating well. I was not sleeping well. I was not taking care of myself in any way. And I really had just this incredible aha moment, spiritually, mentally, and physically, recognizing that I was not prioritizing myself. And so I completely transformed my life. Happy to share I am healthy and whole. I no longer have that chronic disease. And so now my platform as a speaker and a coach is to speak to women, first of all, from a Christian value standpoint, but really speak to them about what it means to live well in their life as they continue to pour out to all of the different opportunities, platforms, blessings that they have available to them, but recognizing the importance of prioritizing wellness, and that does not have to be um, at the stakes of letting go of all these other things that are important to you. So I love to just teach women very practically about how to thrive. So that's why I'm so excited for the conference because I think it's just such a great fit for myself and my background.
Mm, I love that. Share with us your superpower, aka your strength.
Yeah. So I am a visionary. I think it's really important when you are trying to figure out your life and figure out what's important to you to be able to look forward and see things as see things as they will be rather than how they are right now. And so I really work with women to understand their vision and where they're going and recognizing how wellness, no matter where you're going or what you're doing, your wellness, spiritually, mentally, and physically, has got to be a very important priority because a lot of times women forget that. They get so focused, right, on all of the tasks, all of the doors that need to be open, all the people they need to interact with, and they forget about themselves. They forget about their relationship with God. They forget about taking care of their emotional well being along with their physical. And they often forget about it until it's too late. And so I am really a person that's going to help you to see outside of your current situation and start helping you build wellness habits for the future you as well as for who you are in the present.
I love that so very much. And I know that we as women, we absolutely need that. We need to be able to build those habits, which is, you've helped me so much and you're still helping me learn how to build my wellness habits. And so I really want to know, right? So many women have these big goals. We have these big dreams, big ambitions. All of us want to be successful. So success means something different to everybody. But so many of us are constantly chasing these big goals and we're feeling drained though. Like we're feeling drained. And so why do you think that we deplete so much energy as high achievers just trying to do what we do, which is try to reach goals?
Yeah, absolutely. And I don't want to take away from that. Like, I think that is a beautiful thing that we have visions that God has given us and we feel that urgency to achieve them, right? But what we often do is we have this mindset that really is very detrimental, which tells us that our productivity has to be equated with our worth, right? If you don't get as much done today, for a lot of high achievers, they don't feel good about themselves, right? If you don't, okay, I'm speaking to the right people. If you don't, complete a task by a certain time, there's this urgency where you feel like you're behind, right? And so we're driven, but we rarely stop to refuel because there's this fear that slowing down will cost us progress, right?
Ooh,
Energy depletion happens when we pour out constantly. It's this constant pouring out, but it's not this receiving back in, right? And so you can just think about it very simply of just like anything pouring out, you have to take time to also be refueled, right? And so everything in life works on a rhythm, right? There is the rhythm of the day, there's the rhythm of the year, there's the rhythm of the month, right? We have these rhythms in our life, but we often don't recognize the fact that we don't have rhythm in our personal habits. We just constantly are giving and giving without creating that necessary rhythm for restoration, spiritually, physically, and mentally. And so, therefore, we don't create margin, right? Everything is go, go, go. There's no margin. And as a result, we end up burning out. And so we have to be able to create margin, which is that space between, you burning out and you having the ability to stop and refuel before you get to that place. And a lot of us, we don't do that, right? We figure just because we have the energy, we need to use the energy, which is not the case. Just because you have it doesn't mean you
girl.
have to use it. It stopped before, right? And one mindset shift that I'll end with that I want, to be us to be thinking about through this conversation is for high achievers, we often think that we have to do more to achieve more. But there's actually a different way of thinking about it, and it's doing less, focusing on what's actually more important, spending the time and the best of your energy in the less. And in that way, you can actually achieve more. So it's a different mindset, right? Than I'm
Yeah,
going to do everything.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. You better drop the mic, girl.
No,
Come, because I hear you and I'm with you. We do often think that the more we do, the more we're gonna achieve, but that's not the truth. And I know it from personal experience,
mhm.
but it be hard. You're right. I mean, like, it'd be hard to pull back and slow down
Yeah.
because you're right. Our mind is kind of counterintuitive. We don't think that way. And so, what is the one of the first steps that we can learn to do the pullback, to do the slow down? Because that's the hardest thing for me. I
Yeah.
know it. We intelligent. You know us high achieving women. We intelligent. We can conceptualize the heck out of some stuff.
For
But
sure.
when it comes to actually doing it, I think that's the harder task.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And so a lot of times for high achievers too, what we'll see is that they go really hard and they crash, right? Go really hard and then you crash. And it can even look like you're getting sick all the time, or you're exhausted and you have to take a half day off or a day off to just recover. Like that is your body, mind, and spirit telling you that this is not working. And so, what we see in those that are able to create that rhythm, like I spoke about, is that there is consistent time throughout your day, throughout your week, in which you're pulling back. And so that can look different for everybody. So, one way in which to do that is your morning quiet time, right? Being very intentional about starting your day off with God, if that for me, like that's how I start my day, with prayer, reading the Bible, spending time with God, and that centers me for the day. I also can take breaks throughout the day for quick prayer, to get out and get a quick walk in, to even get a stretch in the middle of your day, right? Also, it's important for that we spend a lot of time in front of screens. We spend a lot of time in meetings. If you are, whether you're working a full time or entrepreneur, you usually spend a lot of time in meetings, and that is actually very draining. That's more of that pouring out. And so you need to set times when you're offline, when you're unavailable, and when you're not in front of a screen, right? And that can be time with family, that could be time outside walking, being in the sunshine, that can be reading a book, which I know is a very antiquated practice nowadays. Even we get in front of a Kindle or something to,
Yes.
electronic to read a book, but that actually can be very draining. We're not used to, just naturally at our very natural state, we're not used to being in front of screen and
Yeah.
taking that in all the time, right? And the last thing I want to share, there's a lot we can go into with this, but I want to talk about the fact that we often forget to eat and we forget to
Mm.
drink. And that is very damaging to our
Yeah.
bodies, right? You think
Yeah.
about the amount of stress you're going through, working a full day, doing all the things, delegating, multitasking, and then you're not giving your body the fuel that it needs, right, to recharge. And
Hmm.
so it is very important that we think very intentionally about food and fueling ourselves throughout the day, as well as making sure we're drinking water, we're drinking tea, healthy drinks to make sure we're continuing to refuel. And
Yeah.
so that is also going to help you with your energy levels. It's going to help you
Mm.
from burnout when you're refueling your body consistently throughout the day.
Yeah, you said a whole bunch of amazing things there. And some of those practices I've definitely put into place for myself. Of course, getting up in the morning and praying and having that time, but also, I do read. Although I love Audible and so audiobooks are still my jam, but I also am reading a physical book right now. But I think that you said something that's important about eating. I don't really have a problem with forgetting to eat, but it'd be the intentionality around what I eat
Yes.
is the problem. And drinking, I can go all day without drinking. Like
Yeah.
I just can go all day. And so it's really being intentional about making sure I'm hydrated. And I don't always do that. And that's just something that I have to get better at. And I notice because a lot of times we think as if we think we're hungry, but really we're dehydrated. We need some water. I need some water.
Right.
So I think that that's so important for us to be able to do, to just really be able to sit back though, like have that white space. Jamil calls it, my husband, white space. We
Yes.
don't, we don't often get that, especially when you're so busy like we are, high achieving women. We always got stuff to do. We forever got stuff to do. And so I think, it's hard when we're always, so busy. And so I would love to know in your experience what some wellness myths are that high achieving women tend to buy into, that actually holds us back.
Yeah, that's really good. So I think there's a lot. One myth that I hear a lot is feeling guilty for taking care of ourselves,
Hmm.
right? There's always something else we could be doing, just like you said, or someone else we could be taking care of. And so often high achieving women are also very generous women, right? And so we know we have a lot to give and we feel that calling, but we don't necessarily feel that calling to do it for ourselves. And so that is a myth that it's selfish, right? So when we're healthy, we have a lot of problems, we have a lot of concerns. When you are unhealthy, when your body is ill, when you are mentally struggling, when you're spiritually stuck, you have only one problem, and that is your health, right? Think about it. When you get sick, everything else fades away. You're trying to get well, right? And so when you recognize how important it is, you recognize the fact that just like you create a plan for your business, you have a plan for your family, you have a plan for your finances, you need a plan for your wellness, right? So this is another myth that I can just do wellness like just ad hoc whenever I feel like it. It's just this casual thing, right? No, like you actually need to plan out what it means to take care of yourself. So, to your point of like drinking water, like getting a plan of like, hey, and being intentional, right? Plans are always intentional if they're done correctly. You're going to get your water bottle, fill it up, and check it. By 12 noon, have I drunk half this water bottle or whatever your goal is, right?
Yeah.
And so until you get into the habit of it, you have to have, I work with my clients to literally get like a step-by-step plan and starting, slowly over time, right? You don't want to do too much up front. But one big myth is I don't need to have a plan for wellness. Like I'll just figure it out. That's not sustainable for a lot of people. They get fired up. Maybe they watch this video, they watch a YouTube video. Yep, oh, I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna get my water bottle today. The last 3 days.
Girl, I got
Just
about 5, 10 water bottles.
exactly. I said right around the corner from where you are, right? They're just not filled and not on your desk. So yeah, I mean, you definitely need to have a plan. And the other myth that I would give is that wellness is a solitary sport.
Mm.
Untrue. Wellness is about community. And so you got to engage your friends, you got to engage your family. Truly, what wellness community
I think you cut out for me, friend,
sounding
a
good for
little
you?
bit. I know. Let me see. You were
Oh,
saying
okay.
wellness was a community.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, wellness was
Yes.
start with wellness was a community.
Okay. So wellness is for the community, meaning that in the wellness community that we see and can actually forecast how you will perform with your wellness over time based off of the closest people around you. So your family members and your friends, they actually will reflect your own habits because we tend to flock together with people that have similar habits. So, am I telling you to get new friends? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. What I'm telling you is to bring them along with you, right? So
Mm.
there's this built-in accountability when you bring wellness in with from a community standpoint, to where your friends will then remind you, like, "Hey, did you get your quiet time this morning? Hey, instead of going out to eat like we do for every single celebration, let's actually go out for a walk or do a class together, right? Or something different than often what we do, which is going out to, which I love to go out to eat. I'm not gonna lie, it's great. But like it seems like a lot of our community events are around eating
Yeah,
versus,
yeah.
really trying to focus on wellness. And so thinking about like how can you start to change some of those group um, like environments and settings
Mhm.
to do wellness activities together and bring your community along with you versus you feeling like you have to do that on your own.
Yeah, no, I love that. Some of our best times are spent on the Beltline together, right? You
Yes.
and I, like, we'll go put on our workout clothes, we go walk and everything like that. And I
Yes.
absolutely love those days, right? Like, it's fun. we get to watch other people. We get to, feel good about ourselves. And we do eat sometimes too, right? But it's still community. We're feeling good about ourselves. And I think that that's a good point that you make in terms of wellness being a community. And we don't have to do this by ourselves. As a matter of fact, as a coach, having a coach is an accountability partner, right? Like, so people, we as high achieving women, we reach more goals when we do have an accountability partner, when we do have a coach or a friend who can, walk alongside with us and stuff like that. So I absolutely love that. So what does realistic wellness actually look like for a woman like myself, like yourself, who may be managing careers? We might be managing families. We might be managing personal goals. We might be trying to start a business. I mean, what does it really look like?
Yeah. So I think the wellness community, and I won't speak for everyone, but for the most part, it seems very unattainable for a lot of women. And I think that is very frustrating, right? You go on to whatever you look at, social media, maybe TV, and it seems like there's people on there, they're working out these hours a day, and they've got these great physiques, or they seem to have it all together emotionally or spiritually, right? And it can feel very unattainable for the everyday woman that's like, listen, my schedule's booked. Like, I don't have time between, trying to help get my kids up in the morning, get them out the door. I got work, I've got family, maybe I have elderly parents that require my support. I just don't have the time to dedicate hours to being in the gym or hours to like journaling or whatever you might think, right? And that is again a myth too. Realistic wellness, first of all, looks like consistency, right? Being consistent in what you can be consistent with. And so it's about, honestly, the nuts and bolts of wellness is just about creating routines that are going to work with your life. And so a
Mm,
lot of times when we see these people, that's working for them and that's great.
yeah.
But we try to take what they're doing and then plop it into our life, and it does not work. And it's not supposed to work because wellness is very unique to what and who you are and your needs. And so that's why I really like to work with my clients very personally to understand their goals, their challenges, their needs, their pain points, right? And create a wellness plan that is specifically going to work for them. And so I'll give one example. It's no matter how long you have to work out, 5 minutes, 15 minutes, the key is just to do it within your day, right? Even the very small pieces that you do can make a difference because you're training your mind, you're training your body and your spirit to make sure that you are doing something with your body to do some movement every single day. And so that's going to pay off for you. And so a lot of our high achieving women, don't feel like they are successful unless they've done this 60-minute workout. They sweat, they burn so many calories, But the
Mm-hmm.
key is really that consistency over time that is really going to help to move the needle because there will be days you can spend more time doing it, right? But there will be days where you only have the 5 to 15 minutes.
Yeah.
There's different habits you can use to also just start thinking about wellness differently. If you have a few extra minutes, park further away from the grocery store or wherever you're headed in to give yourself some extra steps, right? You talked about being on the belt line together, but you want to just create intentional ways of moving throughout your day.
Yeah.
And it can be even like, for instance, in Atlanta, we drive everywhere for the most part. But I know that if I have just a few things to pick up at the grocery store and it's like maybe like half a mile away, I'll walk, right?
Yeah.
Take the time to walk, I'll get my groceries, and I'll come back to the house. And so it's thinking just very intentionally about where are those pockets of time where I can actually get some movement. The children are
Yeah.
out playing. Can I go out and play with them for a while, right? Then
Mm.
you get your family time and your movement. So
Yeah.
there's a lot of different ways to think about it, but I just want to encourage women out there who may be frustrated to know that what you're seeing out there in the world is not meant to fit your particular lifestyle, your particular needs. You really have to understand what you need and then build a wellness plan that's going to work for you.
Yeah, I love that you said that because I do think that we can get caught up in what something looks like for other people.
Yes.
And I'll be looking on YouTube and I'm like, ooh, yes, 1 meal a day, girl. No, like, like, like it don't work. But so I think that I don't know, there may be some trial and error in terms of figuring that out. But I think, like you said, working with somebody like yourself, like a coach who can help you kind of understand your circumstances. I realize I got young kids. Some of my friends don't have young kids or whatnot. I can't roll the way that they do, right? Like I can't, I'm not free and flexible. And so I have to learn that. The other day, I went and got Mackenzie from school early and took her to the orthodontist. And then me, her, and Walter came back home, and it was early enough. And they were like, "Can I go outside and ride my bike?" And I'm like, "Absolutely." So then we went outside, rode the bike, and then we actually went on a walk and everything like that. And I was like, "This is what you can do when you have some time." And you're thinking intentionally, like, let me just get out and move. It don't got to be anything like, I don't got to be running or anything like that. Let me get out and move. And I think that's important. Thank you, Shay, for joining us live. She said that makes me feel better. Just the small stuff matters, right? Like it's the
Absolutely.
small stuff that matters. And so we are running low on time, but I do want to know, what role do boundaries play in protecting our energy and maintaining our wellness? Because
Yes.
we be having some
Yes.
issues.
Yes. So, the first person you have to set boundaries with is yourself.
Girl, say that again. Say it again.
The first person you have to set boundaries with is yourself. And then that will dictate, right, the boundaries that you can set for others. Um, so, one boundary that I think is important to make sure that we all are setting is we started off this call talking about the fact that we often will neglect ourselves. And so the first boundary in wellness needs to go from self neglect to self honor, right? You have to honor yourself and you have to center yourself in putting a plan together that is going to honor your needs, your
Mm,
spiritual, mental, and physical needs. And so, what that often will result in once you start with that is you having to learn to say no, right? To things that you probably said yes to in the past. And so it goes from, right, people pleasing, which a lot of high achieving women are people pleasers.
woo,
We enjoy the affirmation, we enjoy, the achievement and the attention that it brings. Let's just call it out. I'm also guilty. But going from people pleasing to more purposeful prioritizing, right?
mm,
Because a lot of times we do things that are not going to actually provide value. They're not going to help us reach our goals. These are other people's priorities that they put on us, that they have in some ways tricked us to think that they are our priorities. But when you pare back and you actually think through, what are my goals? What is my purpose? What has God put me on this earth to do that only I can do? There's only one Yinka Ajirotutu. There's only one Dr. Kiki Ramsey. There are things on this earth that God has appointed us to do, right? If we're not doing those things, that's a problem.
mm.
And so that boundary is first understanding your purpose, your vision, your calling, and then making sure that you're setting boundaries to protect that,
Yeah.
and as well as setting boundaries to ensure that you can complete what you have been called to do, right? And that's hard because
Woo.
we have a lot of things on our plate that do not align with that. And so it does require the no.
Yeah.
And as we probably have heard a lot, no is a complete sentence.
Mm.
Complete.
A whole one. A
A whole one.
whole,
A
a
whole
whole
one.
one. No, you're so right. Like, I definitely think that the person that I have the hardest time setting boundaries with is Dr. Kiki Ramsey. And I'm pretty sure it's like that for so many other women in terms of just we gotta tell ourselves no. I have the shiny object syndrome. I like all the things that be shiny, right? I'm a visionary. I want to do all the things. I can see well in the future, and I want those things right now. But I don't think about like the process that it's going to take for me to actually get there. And so telling myself no or telling myself to slow down, if I just did that, whoo, child, we be cooking, right? And so that's what I am focusing on because I think that it's so true. And no is a whole daggone sentence all by itself. It don't need no fillers. And so learning how to say it to ourselves and learning how to say it to others, it is just so very important. So I thank you for that because I mean
Yeah,
it's a real reminder. It really
yeah.
is.
I would just add this. I love that you said, you're a visionary, as am I, and you see what it could be, right? The future and the things that you can do. And what I would just add for everyone listening, and we all have to work on this, is making sure you're counting the costs, right? Like we can
Mm,
get so excited. Yeah, we can get so excited in that future. And the future, it looks beautiful and it's shiny and it's beautiful and all the things, right? And there's a cost to get there. And we got to count that cost, right? Because
yeah,
there is a cost to in business school, we learn opportunity cost, right?
yeah,
The opportunity cost is there is this opportunity, but you're going to lose opportunities for other things as you make that decision to move
yeah,
forward. And one of that is also the impact that it's going to have on you, yourself, and your being, right? To have to walk through everything that's needed to get to that future.
yeah,
And that may very well be your calling, and that's totally okay. But it's important for us to count those costs and to know before we step out and to say, oh, I'm going here, I'm doing this, right? Without necessarily knowing how it's going to affect us and our loved ones as we continue on that path.
I love that. The opportunity cost is always going to be there, and I tend to sometimes call it the fallout, meaning like we there's always going to be some fallout. Like that's what I've been saying to people, especially with the times that we're in right now. Like people are super scared, and I'm like, listen, when you stand firm on your values, who you are, there's gonna be some fallout. Some people ain't gonna like it, at the end of the day. But you the one who have to deal with you. And if this is your purpose, then you gotta still always count those costs because it's always gonna be something like that. So all right. So oh Lord, you are gonna be at the Thrive 25 Women's Conference. Can you I feel like you just gave us a little bit of what you're going to be sharing, but it's going to be so much more while we're in the room. Can you share why you're so excited about being a speaker at the conference?
Absolutely. So first of all, I know I get to be the first speaker, right, on the podcast, and you all are in for a treat. Like, I've had a chance to meet all the speakers. They are amazing. They bring such a wealth of knowledge and experience. And so, first off, I am just looking forward to being a participant. Like, forget being a panelist. I just want to listen and soak in all the knowledge from all the speakers, as well as from Dr. Kiki herself, too. So, honestly, you want to be in the building. I just feel like it is going to really change mindsets. I believe it's going to set people free from just ways of thinking and being that have been holding them back. And so I love the vision that's been cast, and I'm so excited to be able to, just play a small part in that. And I'll be doing the wellness panel with two other experts. And so just really excited to be in the room, to get to meet all of you that are coming, also learn from you too. And just really, I feel like we're all going to walk out changed. So I'm really
I,
excited about that.
I love it. I do too. So if you haven't heard, the Thrive 25 Women's Conference is going down right here in Atlanta, Georgia on July the 12th and the 13th. VIP kicks off on July the 11th. You can go to drkiki.com/thrive25 to get your tickets today. We want to see you in the room. God has, really put a vision on my heart for Thrive 25 Women's Conference. And I absolutely know that he's going to see the vision through. And I don't want women to miss out on what's going to happen and the breakthroughs that I know we're going to see in the room. So I'm excited that you're one of the speakers. Can you please tell everybody where they can find you at? Because you do this amazing coaching. I know we're going in. It was so funny because I know we're going into our coaching starting at the first of this month for the first week. And I just thought about it this morning. I ended up putting a lunch date with somebody on that Friday that I know I'm going to have to change because I was like, dang on it. I committed to this thing. And so, but this is what accountability looks like. And so, can you share where people can find you at?
Absolutely. So definitely you can find me on my website, which is oluyinkaspeaks.com, OLUYINKA speaks.com. And similar to what I shared with you all regarding margin, I have been taking a social, much needed, by the way, social media break. So I know we've all been grappling with what's happening in our country differently. And for me, I really try to be a person that lives what I share. And I recognized that I needed to take a step back from social
Yeah.
media in this season, right? And so I am not on social media, but I probably will be by the time the conference comes up. And so happy to share my social media. All my social media is actually under my name. I'm just not checking it at this time. But I just think it's so important as we close, just to make sure you are operating in a sense of just knowing yourself and knowing what you need, recognizing symptoms that might come up. Like I noticed I was starting to feel more anxious and I wasn't
Mm,
sleeping as well as I was kind of hearing about what was going on in our country through social media. And I realized I need to take a step back. And
yeah.
in doing that, like y'all, I've been sleeping like a baby and have had so much more peace. And so um, that is just, my story and just sharing that I really do live this. And I think it's really important to put, boundaries in place to make sure you're taking care of yourself. So my
Yeah.
website would be the best place to find me for now, oluyinka.speaks.com.
Yay. Oh my gosh. Yes, taking that break is needed. And if I wasn't in the middle of trying to launch a whole full-blown conference, I might be joining you, friend. We'll see what happens after the conference is over with. Well, thank you so much for being on the show. I can't wait to be in the room with you in person. And I know that everybody who's in attendance is going to be blessed by your presence. All right, y'all. That's it for today's show. If this show blessed your life, please, please, please share it with somebody. And I hope to see you in the room at the Thrive 25 Women's Conference. Like I said, go to kikiramsey.com/thrive25 and you can get everything you need, including your tickets, and bring a friend with you. All right, y'all. Love you. Peace.
Bye.